Knock knock, who is back? It's me. Again back. Yeah. So today we're not gonna talk about any kinds of tutorial, no tutorial about ADS, no tutorial about Altium, but I'm gonna just clarify something I said on my last video. So when I was trying to dump this whole circuitry into the ADS, and ADS is a wonderful app to learn. I'm not expert, wish I am the expert, but I'm still learning. Good thing. So when I was trying to dump the whole file to the ADS, and I told you that there is a problem. And the problem is right here. As you can see, if I sending my signal around here, for example, and if this is a two traces here one, you are technically creating a stub here, right? You're technically creating a stub if you're just like sending one signal and two of them are kind of floating. And I told you that you can also like use a register here to like just to give them a kind of like a mother or father. It basically means giving them a state. But the problem about this thing is I don't really want to make something which I'm not really confident about. Like if it's really like a plug and play board or kind of like experiment board, I would definitely do it. But understand what? You need to spend some money to produce a board, right? So I don't want to do that. I mean, wish I could do that if I have enough money, but I don't. So you can define some kind of a state by just hooking up to like a 10K register or whatever, and both of them and this one as well. But I also mentioned in my last video that even though I understand the signal is coming here and I have a kind of a point here where three of the traces are joining and these things technically will create a stub, but that's not really a problem for my cases because I'm just sending 50 megahertz, and I didn't really explain why because I was more excited to show how Keyside ADS does a lot of simulation of this thing. But today I'm gonna talk about it. Today I'm gonna really talk about it, okay? And I'm gonna just give you some kind of formulas. Not that I'm very smarty pan, but the fact that I learned something and I kind of want to show it. I kind of want to share it. So I do have some kind of a page here where I'm trying to draw. What I will try to draw some of the equations, okay? So let's just open a pen and a recommended value of any of your trace length is 1/10 of the wavelength. What I mean is like you have your trace and you have your trace length. It should be 1/10 of your wavelength. And now the question that I asked to myself, like, okay, how can I find this crazy wavelength? I studied about a lot of wavelength in my physics class. Really, trust me, I never really understand like how that's really important for me in signals. So, but I did understand recently, like a few months ago, I definitely did understand why it is very important. And you have to take consider of your wavelength. You have to know what's your wavelength of your signal is. So since I was telling that I'm sending a 50 megahertz of a signal, and that's not really a lot. That's not really a lot. And if I want to find the wavelength of it, I'm gonna just use this famous formula of C/F, right? But this is not still the famous formula because we have to tweak it. We have to tweak something. By the way, this should be a V for now. I'm just gonna use V/F. We have to take the velocity here, and the reason is when you have a dielectric of 1, the signal does propagate or signal does flow like the speed of light, like 3 into 10 to the power 8 or something, but a meter per second. So I should also specify the unit as well. But the problem in our cases is that we have a dielectric here. We do have a dielectric. So we have a dielectric. Think about this is our dielectric and this is our FR4. Oops, it's gone. So think about this is our dielectric and this is our, for example, this is our FR4. And we know that for the FR4 you have like a 4.3 or something as a dielectric. But we're gonna assume it's 4, okay? We're just gonna assume that it's not really 4.3. We're gonna just assume it's basically 4, okay? So we have to take consider of that because this is not a 1, this is a 4. So we have to understand that how this is going to affect our signal. So definitely if I send a signal here, if it goes through this FR4 of the dielectric or whatever it is, and if it's come out here, it's not going to be the ideal 3.0 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. It's not gonna be like that. It's gonna be different, and we have to count of that. So that's the reason I'm gonna tweak this formula. I'm gonna tweak. Let's just change the color a little bit. I'm gonna tweak this formula to say C root over your permittivity whole square. So right now you have your C as 3.3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. That's great. And you have there as your dielectric of 4, so it's going to be 2. So now if you now calculate the whole equations for your V, you're gonna get a V of like 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now that's very different, isn't it, right? It's not 3 anymore, it's now 1.5. And now what we have to do is we have to take kind of the 50 meg of the frequencies that we have been using, and we're gonna plug it here. Okay, so now let's do lambda equals to 1.5 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second, and we have our frequency of 50 into 10 to the power 6. And now if you take your calculator and if you do the equations, just plug the values of the equations and then do the rest of the calculation, what I get is basically I get a 3 meter. So that's just my wavelength. But as I said, you have to have a 1/10 of your wavelength. So if I do 1/10 of my wavelength, then I'm getting is into 3, I'm getting like a 0.3 meter, which is not really a lot for me. And the reason it's not really a lot for me is because if I go to my this here, if I show you this thing, it's like around what, like 451 mils. Well, let's just switch back to millimeter. Okay, so it's like around 11.468 millimeter. Not a lot. I have a 0.3 meter, and this length is just 11.468 millimeter. This one is like 19.42 millimeter, and that's not really a problem, right? That's not truly a problem. But the problem comes in is when you have a higher frequency. Okay, so when we have a higher frequency, say like you have a frequency of let's think of a good frequency so that we can just tell what kind of problem we have. Let's think about we have a 2 gigahertz of frequency going on. Okay, for in our cases, think about we have a 2 gigahertz just going through. Now if you try to do the formula, so now you have 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and if you try to do 2 into 10 to the power 9 hertz, what are you gonna have? You're gonna have like a 75 millimeter. So you have a 75 millimeter for your wavelength. And now if you want to do 1/10 of your wavelength, what are you gonna have? You're gonna have like a 7.5 millimeter or something like that, right? 7.7. Oh my gosh, sorry. So you're gonna have like 7.5 millimeter. Right now we have 7.5 millimeter, and in our cases we have like 11.58 millimeter or something like that. That's definitely gonna create a problem. So that's definitely going to create a problem, because as I'm increasing my frequency here as a 2 gigahertz, right? As it changes to like a 2 gigahertz, and I'm getting a 1/10 of the wavelength of like 7.5 millimeter, that's definitely going to create a problem here and here since our trace length is very bigger than 7.5 millimeter. It's like 19.482 millimeter, and that is like what, like 11.468. So that's the reason I was telling that for my case it's not a problem, but for your case it might be a problem. So just be careful what you're doing, and then you'll be fine. So this is the video. I don't really want to say more about it. Happy designing. I'm gonna show more things later.